So after a lot of blip blobs and babbles, what can we summarize if you want to convert a preset into a working a custom setup? So first thing, maybe let's just start from aerodynamics. Go +6 on the front wing, then whatever it is on the default here, or alternatively you can always reduce the rear wing also, maybe by 5 or 6 to get the same effect. Of course, take into account if it's a high downforce drag, you probably want to increase the front wing. If it's a low downforce drag, you can probably get away with maybe maybe +3 front, -3 rear. You're gonna get about the same effect, right? So just find what works for you, which one gives you the most lap time, and maybe you can adjust +1 or -1 from there. So I'll say just go +6. Transmission, always stick to 55 on throttle. It is the safest for all tracks, all conditions. In the race, maybe while your tires are starting to wear out, you can go 60, 65. It will help to reduce the burden on the rear tires while you're going on power. Off throttle, keep it at 50 for qualifying. 51 and 52 maybe is usable for race conditions, although it's yet to be fully tested, but it definitely works from the limited tests I've done. I haven't tested out 53, 54 for like extreme situations like Baku or Canada where the rear tires wear out a lot, but it definitely helps to preserve your rear tires a bit more and your tires in general. Suspension geometry, right, left is safe to use in all tracks, all conditions. Again, there might be some time, because we're still early into the game, there might be time in a certain kind of a suspensions geometry setup, maybe more camber, 1 or 2 plates, blah blah blah, maybe some toe combined with maybe some extra front wing, and all that might work out. We're still finding out exploits in some terms to make the setups work better for us. So for now, you can stick to this and you're good to go in your custom setup. Suspension for a high-speed track like Spain, Spa, China even, where you have a lot of high-speed corners and you have to take while accelerating and turning as well, you'll need some stability in your front. So keeping it at maximum is actually beneficial even at most tracks. Maybe in Monaco you'll be probably going like 25, 20, even that should be probably the lowest you'll go in the entire calendar. And yeah, you can stay at 41. Rear suspension relative to the front, if you're going soft, let's say very soft like -10, maybe you just want to go down 1 or 2 clicks to maintain the same balance. Otherwise, if it is at default, leave it at default. Although if you do find yourself like needing a bit more traction out of slower corners, you can experiment with lowering your rear suspension one at a time. But if you go too low, you'll start to notice you'll get even more oversteer, which is counterintuitive, right? That's because your rear is bottoming out, so you'll probably have to raise your ride height to counter that off, which may not be again a good idea for straight line speed. So again, somewhere in between it's just fine. 10, 11, 10 to 15 actually not much effect. You don't notice the straight line speed loss also, so which is a good thing. So keep it at default, it's just nice actually. Front anti-roll bar, again at default, somewhere in between is just nice. 11 to 15, even lower range is actually okay. 6, 7, 8. I'll prefer to go a bit lower if possible for tracks where they have a lot more slower corners. But in general, if you're confused, leave it in the middle and you're fine to go. Anti-roll bar on the rear, you can use this to increase your rotation by increasing the rear anti-roll bar. If you want more stability, like mid corner it's turning in too much, or it's too responsive in a quick direction change or something, which probably may not happen, but if it is, you can lower your rear anti-roll bar. It's going to be a bit more understeery in that sense. Now, ride height, like we've already discussed, we started off like with 3640 on the preset here, but again specifically for Spain I went down to 33. That's because as you go lower, the front of your car sits lower to the ground. That gives you more grip on the front when you're cornering. It's lower, more downforce is generated, right? But too low and you will be hitting the floor basically. the floor of your car, the nose of your car will be hitting the floor of the road or whatever it is. They're in contact and scraping, and there's no airflow. No airflow means no downforce. So as low as you can, but not too low. So sweet spot for most circuits so far is like 33, 37, 33, 36. Barcelona, maybe you need 40 because there's a lot of corners where you're going high speed and still accelerating in long corners, right? And brakes, 100% brake pressure always. That's absolutely needed in your custom setup. Even the presets are always 100%, so just follow that. Brake bias, definitely reduce it from the default brake bias that is given to you. So 58 is safe, 57 is safe, 56, 55 is also usable. 54 and 53 I only recommend if you're using it for tapping on the brakes very minimally, like just less than a second, or just tap on the brakes and then just a little bit amount of rotation, so it's enough. If heavy braking, you'll definitely need to go between 58 to 55, around there, right? The more braking you do, the more you need towards the front to keep the car stable from rocking the rear. Right, and then tire pressures, keep it as low as possible. There is no real benefit of running uber high tire pressures anymore. It only overheats the tire massively, and that is a bad thing to have in the game, right? Maybe you want minimum pressures, maybe you want slightly higher. As long as your tire pressures are within the carcass range, which we'll discuss in the next one, then you're good to go. So there you go, bibble babble done, and that's how you convert your preset into a working-ish custom setup. And there's also a bit of explanation about how each of these things works very briefly. Now, I haven't really gone into so much detail yet because I'm always afraid that Cody's will somehow release a patch that will alter the performance of the cars, which will happen, or maybe even alter the physics of the car, and setups are going to be all useless. So perhaps maybe in a few months time we will revisit this and give you a more detailed guide, a more complete and definitive guide. For now, we'll all have to do with this with limited information. So good luck, have fun with your setups, and tata, take care, bye bye.